Good morning once again, Sukumar Srinivasan. Now, let us have that final phase in respect of the journey which we have undertaken so far. One of the one of the aspects of the functioning of the mind is that there is a continuous procession of thoughts emanating out of the mind, the psychological mind. It's a continuous process, just like in a factory where in a conveyor belt it goes on and on and on, and things are getting shaped and reshaped and all that. Additions are being made, and continuously it is happening without a break. Likewise, the mind goes on sending thoughts. These thoughts come out of the psychological mind, and they say about thousands of thoughts are taking place every minute, on which we do not have any control at all. Now, we have a control where, at least a partial control, where we can straight away prohibit a recalling of a particular incident. We can try to avoid the recalling by diverting our mind to something else, by exposing ourselves to some other activity. The point of recalling of any incident or from the past memory can be avoided. It is quite a possibility. It always happens. We do not want to think about something, immediately we immerse ourselves into some other activity, read a book, watch a movie, or listen to music, something like that. So then that recalling part is avoided at that point of time. So continuously, when we are engaging ourselves in the present, in the sense, the one what you are doing at that particular moment, it can be any activity. If you are continuously focusing on that activity, then there is no question of a recalling of any past memory at all. So living in the present becomes more important, or at least it takes care of 50% of your mental activity. 50% of your mental activity is taken care provided you do your work in the present. You climb a stair, let the focus be on the climbing of the staircase. You take a bath, let your attention be directed to the bathing, the water flowing in your body, the smell of a soap, like that. Even when you are bathing, it can be done. When you are walking across the road, you are constantly focusing on things around you. The vehicles moving, the pedestrians walking, the beep sounds of birds, or the audible talks of other people passing by your side. So all the things, whatever is happening around you, if you are focusing on that, or if your attention is towards that, then there is no mental activity from your side at all. But you should not get absorbed in whatever you are absorbing, but it is, in the sense, you should be only an observation, that's all. Observation with a little amount of focusing, that's all. That means you are engaging yourself, you are engaging your mind in such a way that you are in the present. When you are climbing a bus, when you are driving a car, when you are riding a bicycle, your entire focus is on the riding or in the driving, in which case the mind is preempted from thinking about something or recalling something. You see, the thinking doesn't happen at all. At the same time, you are blocking effectively any incoming thoughts from the mind. So you are able to achieve something which is really good, because the most of the depression, most of the tension bearing attitudes, all this happen because of the high percentage of mental activity. If the mental activity could be reduced from, say, 90% to 50%, half your problems will be solved, and half your the depressive attitudes, the depressive mental states can be eliminated. If your mental activity can be brought down even further down, even from 50% to, say, 30% or something, then you will be a better person to do things, because you have reduced your mental activity. So if you have to reduce your mental activity, what you have to do is you have to live in the present. You have to live in the present. When you are living in the present, the past and future do not interfere in your activities at all. They do not come and occupy your mental activity. The thinking doesn't take place either about the past or about the future, but live in the present. In the sense, you be present. Be present in everything what you do. This is one of the most important aspects. Okay. So the second part is that we want to handle the thoughts, because thoughts are the one which dominate us, and we are unable to get out of the clutches of the thoughts. Once they come, we start thinking about it, then it becomes a sort of, we get into a soup. So how to get out of that? How to get out of that is to not to take control of the thoughts, not even bother to touch the thoughts. There is a inbuilt mechanism by which the thoughts which come out of the psychological mind, they go by themselves, they flow by themselves. In fact, they are flowing by themselves all the time. It is a river, it's like a river, it's like a stream of water just flowing. That is how the thoughts also happen. The thoughts come out of the psychological mind, they flow, and then end somewhere else. They get, merged with the ocean or with the river or anything. Something like that, a stream of water, how it gets merged with the river or ocean or something. Same way, the thoughts also come out of psychological mind, flow, and then reach nowhere. That we do not need to know, because let it go and die by themselves. We don't bother about them. So there is an effective mechanism which is already built in, that thoughts, which are the most crucial factor in causing problems across the world, can be totally eliminated if we stick to that inherent mechanism within us. This mechanism is within us. We are not doing anything at all. We have not built that mechanism. It is already present. What is that mechanism? You allow the thoughts to flow, or you don't even allow. That is another aspect. You don't even allow. You just watch. Be a witness. Be an observer. Be a silent spectator. Be a passive spectator. Do not touch. They used to say, do not touch even with the barge pole. Like that. Let the thoughts flow in front of you. Let the thoughts flow in front of you, and you just watch. The mind becomes absolutely still. If the thoughts are allowed to flow like that, the mind becomes still and more still and more still. The stillness slowly will start embracing you. Then the stillness will occupy most of your mind. If you are accustomed, if you are used to this particular mechanism of allowing the thoughts, that word also is not correct, allowing the thoughts, but let it be. Just for understanding, let us use that word. Instead, you just remain passive, inactive. You just remain static and watch as if a third party, like an observer, say for instance in a sort of race course, where you sit in the gallery and watch the horses going across. The racing horses, they go across your vision. What do? You just observe. You are not a participant in that race at all. Whatever is happening in front of you, you are not a participant. You are just an observer. That's all. And suppose if you have not bet anything on the race, you still be an observer, absolute observer. At least when you pay money and then take a bet on a particular race, then you will start supporting a horse excitedly and go on shouting, come on, and all that. So you don't even do that. You just go to a race course, just sit in the gallery and watch the race horses racing, and you have got nothing to do with those race horses, and you are absolutely just a pleasant observer. That's all. You just watch. So same way, the thoughts also are like horses. They race. Maybe the speed is less. Horses are very fast. Here thoughts are less speed, there is less amount of speed. So, but they pass through across us. Then you just sit it comfortably, and then watch the thoughts going. Then what will happen is you do not get involved with those thoughts at all, and they flow by themselves. You do not spend any energy and start feeding those thoughts. What do you do? What do we do normally? We welcome the thoughts, and we start thinking and rethinking about the particular thoughts. That is the particular memories, whatever has happened in the past. Then it becomes more and more stronger. It totally occupies your mind, and your mind is not still, your mind is not peaceful, you are tense, you are depressed, you are stressed, everything, and you are angry. Everything happens because you have come under the influence of your own thought, which is not real. No thought reveals your reality, what you are. The thought always what it does is to transform you into something which you are not. You are a man of reality. You are a person of reality and truth. But that fact, that truth, is not allowed to be exhibited because of the inflow of thoughts. And all these thoughts come out of the psychological mind, and we know that all the psychological mind is itself by itself is an artificial accumulation of memories of what has happened in the past. They are not real, they are just experiences, and there are lakhs of people and there are lakhs of experiences. How it can be real and how it can be uniform and how it can be truthful? Never. So you are a person of truth and reality. You are the absolute. But that quality is, temporarily shielded because of the passage of the thoughts, because of the thoughts coming into you, and you start taking control of it. If you don't do that, then you remain as an observer and watch the thoughts flow, and the thoughts go on flowing, go on flowing. Like a stream of water, if you put a hand, what happens is it gets blocked. It starts, swirling. But if you allow it, it flows. And the most important thing is when the thoughts flow across your mind, just take that example that there in a river, the river water goes on continuously flowing. Beneath the water, there are a lot of ground, earth is there are pebbles are there are stones are there, so many things are there. Now, because of the passage of water over a period of time, any stone which lies underneath is totally transformed into a shining pebble. Whatever dirt was there, whatever unevenness was there, whatever was there on the stone, it gets almost polished and it becomes a beautiful shining pebble. It has happened because the water flowed continuously over that particular stone. Continuously. The same way, if the thoughts flow in your mind by itself, by themselves, your mind is purified. Like a pebble, like a shining pebble. Your mind is purified. So when a mind is purified, all the negative emotions disappear. All the negative emotions like anger, fear, vengeance, everything disappears. And the mind is pure. And when the mind is pure, you know very well that you will live peacefully because there are no negative emotions. Because there are no negative emotions which are the contributing factors for your depression and tension and stress. So, can we say that if we have to live peacefully in this world, we should not have anything to do with the thoughts coming in from our mind? Can we have this only one as a commandment to live peacefully, nothing else? If you have to live peacefully in this world, in front of all these conflict creating factors in front of you, the life which is full of misery and challenges, all this can be met if we have a mind which is not blemished with the thoughts. And you can allow these thoughts to flow and without having anything to do with our inner. We allow the thoughts to flow, then the mind becomes purified totally And that mind, it becomes a different mind. They say in spirituality it becomes a cosmic mind. Let us not go into spirituality, but we know the mind will get purified. And if the mind is purified, what happens is there is no negative factors at all, no negative emotions at all. That is the one we want. All the people in the world only that. They want to have, or they do not know, but let's say they want to have a peaceful mind, so that the peacefulness creates happiness for you, and you achieve the full happiness and live harmoniously. That is what everybody wants, but their direction is different. They want to have material possessions because of which they think the happiness will come, but the material possessions, whether they come or not, the people live with misery because their mental activity is very high. The amount of sickness which each person has varies, and that sickness is mental sickness is directly related to your mental activity, the thoughts. So if the mental activity is very high, you are sick, very sick. If it is 90%, you are very sick. You are depressed, totally depressed. You lose all interest in the world. You lose all interest in the living. Nothing seems perfect, and you become almost like a sort of vegetable. But if the percentage of mental sickness is low, suppose say 20%, then your mind is more and more pure, because to that extent the mental activity has come down drastically. Drastically, it has come down from 90% to 20%. So you live with a mental sickness which you can manage. If you are covered with the 90% mental activity, you cannot think, you cannot live peacefully. But if you are living with a 20% mental activity, you can manage. Your better part of you will come out, and that will take care of all the outer world activities. So if the thoughts are totally done away with, in which case your mental activity becomes zero, you are a perfect man. You will not have anything to do with any negative emotions. Never you will get depressed. And in fact, you will come out of depression, because you have understood what is causing the depression. You have understood what is causing the mental sickness and stress, everything. You have understood. When you have understood, then it becomes more and more peaceful, and you live a life of happiness and harmony. This is what is wanted. This is what is wanted. So, to live peacefully, harmoniously, with the full amount of joy and happiness in the inner world, irrespective of what is happening outside in the outside world, or irrespective of what the outside world is provoking you to live the way it wants you to live. If you are peaceful, nothing can be done. They will not have any impact on you at all. They will not provoke you, they will not induce you, they will not stimulate you on the negative side. You will be much more stronger in the inner, and that strength will allow you to do anything positively and make a living happy one. This is what is required for all the people in the world. Reduce your mental activity as much as possible, and then see what are the results. If the mental activity can be brought down to zero, you will be a peaceful man. You will be a peaceful man. You do not need to approach any kind of chemical use, or you don't need to approach any sort of allopathic treatment with the medicines and all. You don't need at all. The power, the energy to create a peaceful mind lies within you. It remains within you. You have to have only an understanding of yourself to find out how to enhance that inner energy, how to enhance that inner strength. That is what is required. Initially, you are enhancing your inner energy to the extent of driving away your sickness. All of us are afflicted with mental sickness. Please remember, all of us are afflicted with mental sickness. Only the percentage is different, and it is only relative. That's all. But people with a lot of mental activity or with the percentage of sickness is more, and because of which only the individual suffering takes place. Individual suffering takes place because of the high percentage of mental activity. This is what everyone should be made to understand. And if the opportunity comes, you realize for yourself, yes, this is what. This is what I am. This is what it is being done to me. This is what I perceive. This is what is false. This is what is my true nature and what is a built in mechanism for me to live happily. All these things will come to your understanding. If you just allocate your time and go through this process of knowledge of the self, understand yourself, then this will become much more evident and you will be more and more peaceful. Your all the negative things like depression, stress and tension, it will leave. They will not affect you at all, because now your full understanding will bloom, and in that blooming, you will have enough light to find out about yourself and how to live in this world with what I am really. With what I am really. That is more important. This is a beautiful life. This is a beautiful life carved out by, created by a supreme intelligence. And the intention of the supreme intelligence is not for this product of life to live miserably. It is not. It is not the intention of the supreme intelligence at all. The intention of the supreme intelligence can be inferred when you look at the plant world and the animal world. They are living happily without any contradiction, without any depression, without any stress. Now that itself goes to prove that the stipulation, that is the intention of the creator, or what I call as a supreme intelligence, for having created those two types of world where they live happily. But where the supreme intelligence has indulged in creating our beings, the human beings, there he has given us an enormous amount of freedom and allowed us to live according to our own freedom. But as human beings, we have misused that freedom. And instead we chose to live in a path of misery because of the material attachments and possessions, because of the domination of our psychological mind. So only when we understand the negative effect of the psychological mind on each and every individual human being, then they will be able to come out of it. And this education should have been given to all the people right from their school days, to know yourself. You know yourself. It has not been taught. When suppose if we had been taught, then the entire history of the world will be totally different. But it has not happened. But fortunately, in our culture, there is a step-by-step procedure as to how to go about knowing yourself. This is available only in our culture on a major level. Across our culture, if you have a look at it, then there are people who are after the finding out about the inner self. There are people across the country, across Hindu culture. They are there, but which are not to be found in any other cultures at all. If at all there, they are there, but it is only to a very, very limited extent. But here you can, every place, every city or every town, you can go across, you can definitely find out people who are seeking the truth. You can easily find out there are people. They want to know the reality. They want to know the knowledge. They want to have the knowledge of the self. And they are seeking. And their approach is, of course, is different, because that is the way it is. So we have now understood as to how to keep ourselves happy and blissful. So only, and the understanding is, the culprit is our psychological mind, the mind. We can say the mind. So that is a culprit, which is, acting like a barrier. So it is in the, as just like the, when you bring a candle into a dark room, the darkness leaves, and there is only brightness in the room. The same way, the understanding light, by way of understanding us, ourselves, is the light that will, throw away the darkness, which is nothing but ignorance. That is there within us. All our ignorance will be thrown out just because by your own understanding what is the self. This is what is required. This is what is required not for elderly people or senior people. This is required from the childhood onwards, from the high school level onwards, from the youngsters, for the adults, for the middle aged, for the senior people, for the housewives. Everybody should have the knowledge of the self. If you have it, then you will lead a better life, and the society, the country, and the world, everything will get transformed. But whether it will happen is a question. That's different. But at least now, when we have come, we have been exposed to this particular process, at least we should be able to follow it. And let's live happily. Let's throw away all our negative emotions, tension, and all that. Let there be peace. Thank you very much.